The mission nobody wanted. Space was quiet. Too quiet. The ship Shadow Fang moved through deep space like a ghost. Inside, 6 alien mercenaries sat in silence, checking their weapons. They were the best of the best. Killers for hire. They had destroyed planets, crushed rebellions, and hunted dangerous creatures across the galaxy. But tonight, their mission was different. Their target? A single human. "This is a joke, right?" said Krell, a tall, 4-armed beast with thick armor plates on his body. "They send us for one human?" "Not just any human," replied the team leader, Commander Jurak. His voice was low and rough. "Code name, Reaper. Former Special Forces. Went rogue after the war. Last seen on Planet 7 Delta 3. I heard he killed an entire squad by himself," muttered Sylth, a sniper with cold insect-like eyes. Krell laughed. "Stories. Humans are weak. They scream when you break their bones." "Then why is everyone afraid to go after him?" asked Sylth. Nobody answered. The ship landed near an old research facility. No lights, no signals, nothing. They stepped outside. Weapons ready. The night was cold and the air smelled like smoke and blood. "Stay sharp," Jurak said. "Split into teams. Search the area." They moved fast. The building was large with broken walls and black burn marks everywhere. Inside, bodies of alien guards lay scattered. Most were missing heads or arms. One was nailed to the ceiling. "What the hell happened here?" whispered Krell. "Look at the cuts," Sylth said, pointing at a body. "Blade work. Clean. Fast." "He was here," Jurak growled. "He's still close." Suddenly the lights flickered, then turned off. Total darkness. "Lights on," Jurak ordered. They turned on their helmet lights. Shadows moved around them. Then a voice echoed from the darkness. "You shouldn't have come." Everyone froze. "Who said that?" Krell shouted. Silence. Then a scream. One of the mercenaries was pulled into the shadows. The others rushed forward but found only blood. "He's playing with us," Jurak said. "Watch each other's backs." But it was already too late. Another. Merc vanished. Then another. The group was falling apart. Panic started to grow. "We need to get out," Sylth said, breathing hard. "No," Jurak snapped. "We finish this." They moved deeper into the building. A red light glowed in the distance. It led to a control room. On the wall, written in blood, were 3 words. I see Ukril cursed. "This human is insane." They found a broken data pad. Inside were recordings from the last guards. The screen flickered. A human figure moved like a shadow, silent and fast. Guards shot at him, but he kept coming. Knives, close combat, brutal takedowns. No mercy. The final recording showed the human looking into the camera. "You brought this on yourselves," he said. Then the screen went black. "We're not hunters anymore," Sylth whispered. "We're prey." Jurak's hands tightened on his weapon. "We're not leaving until he's dead." Just then, a grenade rolled into the room. "Down!" someone yelled. The explosion rocked the walls, smoke and fire. When it cleared, Sylth was gone. Only her scorched helmet remained. Krell and Jurak were all that was left. They ran to the exit, but the doors were locked. On the floor, another message was written in blood. "You started this," Krell backed away. "He's not human. He's a demon." "Control yourself," Jurak shouted. "He's just a man." From the shadows, a voice replied. "Then come find me." Bullets flew into the walls, lights shattered. The Reaper moved like a ghost, never seen for more than a second. Krell fired wildly, but something sharp cut through his armor. He screamed and fell. Jurak turned but saw nothing. He was alone now, breathing hard. He whispered, "What are you?" A soft voice spoke from behind him. "I'm... What happens when you push a human too far?" Jurak turned and fired, but there was no one there. Just silence. And then, darkness. Fear has a name. The silence was louder than any scream. Commander Jurak stood alone in the dark ruins of the facility. His gun shook in his hands, the barrel glowing faint red from overuse. The smoke from the explosion had settled, but the fear in his chest had not. His team was gone. One by one, they had been picked off. Skilled killers, murdered without a sound. Now, only he remained. The shadows moved around him, but he saw nothing. No footsteps, no heat signal. The human was invisible, untouchable, like death itself. Jurak activated his emergency beacon. Command, this is Jurak. Mission compromised. Requesting immediate extraction. Static. No reply. He checked his gear. Comms were jammed. Again, that wasn't luck. That was a message. The human wanted him to be alone. A sudden clank echoed behind him. He turned fast, gun raised, but found nothing. His eyes scanned the hallway. A long corridor with cracked walls and flickering lights. Blood smeared across the floor like something or someone had been dragged away. You're just one man, Jurak whispered. How are you doing this? A voice answered from the darkness. I'm not just a man. Jurak froze. The voice came from the ceiling. He looked up, nothing. Then movement. A shape dropped silently behind him. He turned too late. A metal wire wrapped around his neck, pulled tight. He struggled, claws swinging, eyes wide with panic. But before he could choke, the wire snapped away. Gone. He fell forward, gasping for air. No attacker. No trace. He was being played with. The human could have killed him. But didn't. Why? He stood up slowly, coughing, blood in his mouth. He leaned against trying to steady his breath. A sound came from his wrist device. A voice. Female. Mechanical. File 78 accessed. Project Reaper. Jurak stared at the screen. The human had hacked his system. Then the file opened by itself. A video began. A young human soldier, maybe early 20s, stood in front of a training facility. Behind him, the symbol of the Human Special Forces, the voiceover played. Subject 78, designation Reaper. Trained in zero-gravity combat, blade mastery, silent warfare, and psychological tactics. Survived the Crimson Drop. 47 soldiers entered. Only one returned. The video switched to battlefield footage. Burning cities. Gunfire. The same man moving through enemy lines like a shadow. Fast. Precise. Unstoppable. Note: subject does not retreat. Does not negotiate. Fear level among enemy soldiers. Extreme. Capture attempts. Failed. Termination attempts. Failed. The file ended. Jurak's eyes narrowed. He understood now. This wasn't a soldier. This was a weapon. And it had turned against them. He started moving again, slow and careful. Every hallway looked the same. Dark, broken, silent. The air was heavy. His boots crunched over shattered glass and bone fragments. A low growl echoed from behind a door. He raised his gun and kicked it open. A room full of bodies, alien mercenaries from other squads. All dead. But their eyes were wide open in fear. Mouths frozen mid-scream. One had carved something into the wall before dying. He watches. Always watches. Jurak stepped back. Suddenly a soft sound behind him. Metal scraping metal. He turned. Small speaker lay on the ground, then the voice came again. Tell me, Commander, how does it feel to be hunted? Jurak aimed and shot the speaker. Sparks flew. Silence returned, but then another speaker lit up down the hall. And another. And another. His voice now echoed from every corner of the building. You and your kind thought you could control everything, buy everything, kill anything. But you can't kill what you can't catch. And now you'll feel what we felt. Jurak ran. Doors slammed shut around him. Lights flickered and died. A red glow filled the hallways. He reached the main hangar. The emergency shuttle still docked. Hope. He sprinted, activated the door, a voice behind him. Run, little commander. Run faster. He turned. The Reaper stood at the far end, face hidden under a dark helmet, blade in one hand, blood dripping from the other. Jurak fired. The bullet sparked off the walls, but the Reaper was already gone. Vanished again. The shuttle door opened. He jumped inside, hit launch. As the ship pulled away, Jurak collapsed against the wall, shaking. He looked down. On his armor, scratched into the metal, was a message. "Next time I won't let you go." He stared at it, heart pounding. Even in escape? The fear followed him, because now he knew the truth. This wasn't just a mission gone wrong. This was a warning. The Reapers passed. The rain fell hard on the metal rooftops of Base Station X9, located on the cold edge of human territory. Inside the shadows of a forgotten hangar, the Reaper sat alone, sharpening a blade with slow, careful movements. Not because he needed to. Not because it was dull, but because the sound helped him forget. Just for a moment. Across the room, an old data chip blinked. On it was a symbol long erased from official records, a wolf's skull marked with red. The insignia of Unit Echo Black, the most feared Special Forces team humanity ever created, and the team the galaxy chose to forget. 12 years earlier, he was younger then. No scars on his face, no blood on his hands. His name was Commander Jace Thorne, one of the first humans to be accepted into the Intergalactic Military Alliance. Trained under alien warlords, taught to kill without hesitation. He didn't just survive training, he excelled at it. They called him the Reaper because he never left a target alive. But back then, he still had a soul. His team, Echo Black, was sent on high-risk missions others wouldn't dare touch. Hostage extractions, bio-terror raids, infiltration behind enemy lines. Every operation was perfect, until Operation Clean Slate. Classified. Mission log. Clean slate objective. Assist alien allies in removing a rebel faction on planet Echo 7. Expected resistance. Low allied support. Auxiliary mercenary forces. Human units. Echo Black. 6 soldiers. Jace remembered the landing. It was too quiet. They moved in fast, but what they found wasn't rebels. It was civilians. Human settlers. Families. Children. The auxiliary mercenaries didn't hesitate. They opened fire. Echo Black tried to stop them. Jace screamed into comms, "Abort! These aren't targets!" But command didn't answer. Then the order came through. "Stand down! Cleanse the site. No witnesses." Betrayal, his team refused. They fought the mercenaries, defended the innocent. 3 soldiers died in the process, and Jace, he disobeyed direct orders. He saved 32 civilians, dragged them through hell and... But when they made it out, no medals, no thanks, just silence. And then a Bounty Galactic news feed, Cycle 2291. Rogue human Commander Jace Thorne has been declared a traitor to the Intergalactic Military Alliance, wanted dead or alive. Charges: treason, interference in classified operations, murder of allied personnel. No trial. No chance to speak. His own kind turned on him. The auxiliary mercenaries, embarrassed by their failure, placed a private bounty so high that hunters from every corner of the galaxy started looking for him. And many tried. But none came back. Present. Day back in the dark hangar, Jace stood. He pulled the blade from the stone, held it against the light. Etched into the steel were 6 names, the names of his fallen team, his brothers and sisters. They had followed him even when it meant death. Now he carried their voices in silence. His eyes flicked to a monitor. A familiar face appeared. Commander Jurak. Alive. Shaken. Hiding in a military facility on Varos. "Prime, you escaped," Jace muttered, voice cold. "But you left a trail." The Reaper walked to the corner of the hangar, opened a crate. Inside, rows of weapons, explosives, surveillance drones. The hunt continued, but this time it wasn't for survival. This time, it was revenge. Meanwhile, Varos Prime, high-security HQ Commander Jurak, sat in a sealed room, surrounded by guards. Cameras, force fields. Still, he didn't feel safe. "He'll come here," Jurak told the chief. "He always comes." The chief laughed. "This is the most secure facility in the sector. You think one human can get through that?" Jurak stared into his eyes. "Not just a human," he said. "The Reaper." Later that night, inside Varos Prime's control tower, a technician yawned. Shift change was late. He heard a buzz, looked down. A small drone, shaped like a fly, sat on the table, red light blinking. Then, blackness. The power grid failed, lights shut down, cameras died, defenses collapsed. In the dark, a message appeared on every screen in the base. This isn't justice. This is payback. Alarms screamed. Soldiers ran to their stations, but deep inside the shadows, the Reaper had already entered. Not to kill Jurak. Not yet. He wanted Jurak to watch everything fall apart. First, the base. Then, the people who ordered the betrayal. Last, Jurak himself. Because for Jace Thorne, this wasn't war anymore. This was personal. Mind games. 3 hours after the blackout at Varos Prime, Commander Jurak sat in the command center, breathing hard. Outside the sealed glass walls, the base was chaos. Soldiers shouted. Alarms echoed. The lights flickered like a dying heartbeat. "What's the status?" Jurak snapped. A young officer turned. "Sir, power grid is unstable. Backup systems are glitching. Someone's overriding our controls from inside." "What do you mean, someone?" Jurak growled. "I mean," the officer whispered, "we've been hacked." Then the screens all blinked. Static. Then a familiar voice filled the room, calm and cold. "Welcome to your reckoning, Commander." The room went silent. "He's inside the system," Jurak whispered. Minutes earlier, underground maintenance sectora lone technician checked wires along the back corridor. His radio was dead and the lights buzzed like flies. As he turned a corner, he saw a figure standing at the end of the hall. Not moving, just watching. "Hello, you're not supposed to be here." The figure didn't answer. The tech stepped forward. "Hey," I said. The lights shut off. Only silence. When the lights flicked back on, the hallway was empty. But the wall behind him now had a message scratched into the metal. "I see you." Present. Command Center Commander Jurak stared at the surveillance. Monitors. One by one, they blinked to black. "He's disabling our eyes," the chief security officer muttered. "He wants us blind," Jurak replied. "He's not just here to kill. He's here to destroy us from the inside." Suddenly, the floor lights turned red. A new message played over the speakers. The Reaper's voice, slow and steady. "You built this fortress to keep things out, but what happens when the enemy is already inside?" A soldier ran in, wide-eyed. "Section 7 breached, all 5 guards missing." "He's just one man," someone shouted. "How is he doing this?" Jurak clenched his fists, because he knew the answer. This wasn't just any man. This was the product of their own betrayal, the ghost they created. And now, it was haunting them, deep inside the base, medical labder. Kelza, the facility's lead scientist, sat watching security feeds. Her hands trembled. Outside her lab, soldiers had gone quiet. Too quiet. She tapped into the feed again. On one screen, she saw a figure walking calmly through the hallway. Not rushing. Not hiding. Just walking like he owned the place. She zoomed in. The helmet, the dark coat, the bloody blade hanging from his belt. The Reaper. She reached for the emergency lockdown, but the lights went out, and when they returned, the Reaper was no longer on the screen. Instead, her own face appeared. Someone was inside the system, watching. Her now. Then the door behind her hissed open. Command center, minutes later. A loud bang echoed through the speakers. Kelza's feed went dark. "We just lost medical sector," a soldier whispered. On the glass wall of the command center, a glowing red light appeared. It formed into words. One by one, Jurak gritted his teeth. He's controlling the narrative, turning every system into a message. The young officer leaned in. "Sir, do you think he's here for you?" Jurak turned to him. "No," he said. "He's here for everyone who buried the truth. Armory sector, Reaper's movements. The Reaper moved like a ghost between corridors. No sound. No panic. He wasn't in a hurry. His traps were already set. He'd rewired the doors, hacked the cameras, disabled the comms. He'd studied every blueprint of this facility months before stepping inside. This was never a fight. This was a game. And Jurak was his favorite piece. Back at command, soldiers were braking. They heard footsteps that weren't there, saw shadows where no one stood. One claimed he saw his own reflection. Blink at him. Another shot himself, thinking the Reaper was behind him. Jurak tried to calm them, but fear had already infected the base. "He's manipulating us," he said. "Psychological warfare. Fear, isolation, noise, silence. He's using every weakness." But even he, in his heart, knew. This wasn't just about tactics. This was personal. An hour later, outer gate breach explosions rocked the north entrance. A team rushed to respond. When they reached it, nothing. Just a speaker playing soft music. "An old Earth lullaby," one soldier muttered. "He's playing with us." Another replied, "No, he's breaking us." A message on the floor flashed. "The game ends when I say it ends." Final scene. Reaper's location unknown, somewhere deep inside the base. Jace sat alone in a server room. He watched every camera, every heart monitor, every door sensor. He could see them all, running, hiding, losing control. He didn't need to be everywhere. He just needed them to believe he was. He looked into one camera and spoke softly. "This is just the beginning, Jurak. Next I go after the ones who gave the orders. Your leaders, your kings. But I want you to watch everything, all. I want you to live with the fear you once forced on others. No escape." The air was heavy, thick with smoke, heat, and fear. Commander Jurak stood over the remains of the command center, what used to be the safest place in the galaxy. Sparks flew from broken walls. Monitors were shattered. Half his soldiers were missing. The other half, too scared to speak. He looked at the floor. Someone had written a message in ash. "You were never safe." "Status report," Jurak barked. No one answered. His second in command, Lorik, was shaking, eyes wide. "Sir, the escape ships, they're gone." Jurak turned slowly. "What?" Lorik swallowed hard. "Blown up, every one of them. Someone rigged them with remote explosives." A silence fell over the room. Then someone whispered what everyone else was thinking. "We're trapped." 6 hours earlier, outside launch bay, the Reaper knelt under the launch platform, fingers dancing across exposed wires. Above him, escape shuttles sat in silence, the last hope for anyone smart enough to run. He didn't cut the fuel, didn't shoot the ships. No, he did something worse. He reprogrammed their fail-safe systems. Every ship would appear normal, until mid-launch. Then they would burn. Present moment, Med Bay hallway, Private Salek sprinted down the corridor, breathing. Art. His boots echoed off the metal floors. Ahead, he saw the door to the med bay, safety. He slammed into it, closing the steel bulkhead behind him. Inside, silence. Just a few flickering lights and overturned tables. "Anyone here?" he whispered, then a voice behind him. Not loud, not angry, just calm. "You should have stayed with your unit." Salek turned. Too slow. A blade flashed in the dark. Command tower. 5 minutes later, Jurak stared at the growing list of dead. His soldiers were falling faster now, not one at a time. In groups, ambushed, outsmarted, erased. This wasn't war. This was a slow execution. And worse. Every time someone died, a message appeared. "This is for Echo Black." Jurak turned to Lorik. "Get me the master override. We're activating the last emergency measure." Lorik hesitated. "Sir, that measure was banned by the Council. It's dangerous." Jurak's eyes burned. "We're way past dangerous, Lieutenant." Sub-level. Engineering core alarms echoed through the floor. Red lights painted the walls in angry flashes. A squad of guards rushed in. Elite units trained in urban combat. They moved in perfect formation. But when they entered the core chamber, they found it empty, except for a single object placed on the floor, a human child's doll, covered in blood. Attached to it, a note. "You let them die. Now you'll hear them scream." The door sealed shut behind them. The room exploded. Present, back in command. The blast shook the entire base. Ceilings cracked. Fire rolled through the sublevels. Jurak was thrown to the ground. Lorik helped him up. "He's tearing this place apart." "No," Jurak said, breathing hard. "He's breaking our will." Cut to Reaper's lair inside the base. He sat calmly in a room of wires, monitors, and stolen gear. Footage played on the screens. Every hallway, every face. He watched soldiers panic. Watched Jurak run in circles trying to control a war he'd already lost. His voice whispered across the base again. "This place and this base one was built to hide your crimes. Now it will bury them. No escape, no mercy, no more silence." Twist. The real plan begins as the base burned. Jurak finally accessed the master override. "We'll flood the lower sectors with plasma gas," he told Lorik. "Force him to surface." Lorik hesitated. "And if others die?" Jurak stared into the flames. "They're already dead." He pressed the button. Gas hissed into the lower levels, but the Reaper was ready in the vents above the command center. The Reaper crawled silently. He wasn't in the lower levels anymore. Jurak had just gassed empty halls. He was right above them. The lights go out, power failed, screens blacked out. For the first time since it all began. No messages, just darkness. Then the emergency lights flickered on. Every wall was painted in blood-red letters. "I'm here." Jurak raised his gun. Back. To back with Lorik. A slow metallic knock echoed on the steel doors. Once, twice, 3 times. Then silence. Lorik whispered, "What now?" Jurak didn't answer, because deep down, he knew the truth. There was no escape. Not from this place. And not from what they did. The last stand. The air was thick with smoke and silence. Emergency lights painted everything in red. Shadows stretched across broken walls like claws. Commander Jurak stood alone at the center of the ruined command dome. His armor was scorched. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. Behind him, only 2 survivors remained. Lieutenant Lorik and Medic Zira. Both were silent, tired, scared. The base, once a monument of power, was now a dying tomb. "This is it," Jurak muttered, looking at the destroyed screens. "We either face him now, or we wait here like prey." Zira swallowed hard. "Do we even have a chance?" Jurak didn't answer, because he already knew the truth. 10 minutes earlier, Mess Hall Sectora squad of 5 soldiers made a last attempt to regroup. They never made it out. Cameras caught the footage, played it on loop. Through every hallway, the Reaper entered the room alone. No gun, just 2 blades. The fight lasted exactly 43 seconds. None of the soldiers survived. One of them tried to crawl away. The Reaper whispered something to him. No one knows what. He slit his throat anyway. Present. Command dome interior, Jurak activated. A portable shield emitter. It formed a faint blue dome around them, their last line of defense. "We make our stand here," he said. "He'll come for me, and when he does, we take him down." Lorik looked up. "What if he's already here?" Jurak froze. A whisper echoed from the hallway beyond. "Smart guess, Lieutenant." Lights exploded. The shield dome flickered. They turned fast, weapons up, but saw nothing. Then Zira screamed. The lights returned. Her body was gone. Just blood, and her radio still crackling on the floor. Lorik began shaking. "We're not fighting a man. We're fighting a ghost." Jurak grabbed him by the collar. "Pull it together, he's flesh and blood. We can kill him." But even as he said it, he didn't believe it anymore. Cut to deep sublevel corridor. The Reaper moved through flames and falling. Rubble, silent as wind. His eyes scanned the map burned into his mind. He had one final target. Jurak, but not for revenge alone. This wasn't about pain anymore. This was about truth. Because hidden beneath this base, under concrete and secrets, was something worse than trail, a memory. And he was going to open it. Present, back in the Doma, Lorik sat in the corner muttering to himself. He was losing grip, hearing things, seeing things that weren't there. "He's inside my head," Lorik whispered. "He's turning my thoughts against me." "No," Jurak said, voice cold. "He's just showing you what you've always been." "Weak." Lorik looked up. Why do you even care? You helped bury the mission too. Jurak froze. Lorik stared at him. You signed off on the orders, didn't you? Clean slate? Echo black? Jurak didn't speak. Lorik's voice cracked. They trusted us, and we turned them into criminals. Jurak raised his weapon. You talk too much. But before he could fire, the lights cut again. A new voice spoke, not through speakers, but from inside the room. Finally, some honesty. They spun. The Reaper stood at the entrance, not a shadow, not a myth. Real, tall, armored, eyes glowing faintly beneath his mask, his coat singed, his blade dripping. Lorik screamed and opened fire. The Reaper moved like water. Bullets missed. A sharp spin, a step forward, a strike. Lorik dropped. Jurak activated the shield dome again. Just the two of them now, him and the Reaper. This ends now, Jurak growled. No, the Reaper replied. This is where it truly begins. He stepped into the shield, and it didn't stop him. Jurak's eyes widened. I changed the settings, the Reaper whispered. Same time you changed my orders. Fair trade. They clashed, blade against blade. Old training met fury. Each movement was brutal. Not elegant, just survival. Jurak was strong, but the Reaper was relentless. A punch to the gut, a knee to the jaw. Jurak staggered. Blood filled his mouth. You betrayed everything, the Reaper spat. Jurak laughed. Bitterly, I did what I had to. So will I, said the Reaper. Blade raised, a final strike. But Jurak, in one last move, activated a fail-safe detonator. If I die, he whispered, so do you. The countdown began. 60 seconds. The Reaper looked at the blinking device, then at Jurak, and turned around. He walked away. Jurak screamed after him. What are you doing? Fight me! But the Reaper didn't turn back. His voice echoed one last time. I'm not here to die. I'm here to make sure they know. The galaxy will see who you really are. And then he vanished into the smoke. Seconds later, the top of Varos Prime exploded. The world shook. A tower of fire reached the stars. Rescue ships watched from orbit. Helpless. Commander Jurak's signal disappeared, confirmed dead. But one figure was seen moving through the ashes, limping, bleeding, alive. Humans are not prey. The ashes of Varos Prime still glowed below, drifting through space like burned feathers from a dead giant. On board the Allied Council cruiser Veritas, panic and confusion filled the bridge. Sir, we've lost all contact with the command base. The dome is gone. Casualties 100%, no survivors confirmed. Except one signal. The officer paused. A human signal. Meanwhile, just beyond the blast zone, he walked slowly, one boot dragging behind the other, a deep gash. Along his side, armor scorched, helmet cracked, but alive. Jace Thorne, the Reaper, moved through the ruins like death had offered him a second chance. And he said no. He stopped at the edge of the cliff where the base had once stood, and there, half buried in rubble, was what he came for, a black box, marked Project Echo Black, sealed archive. He pulled it free, coughing. Blood stained his gloves, but his eyes, still cold, still focused. This was the final piece. Not revenge, proof. 2 hours later, pirate broadcast, unknown location, across hundreds of systems, screens flickered. From border colonies to High Council halls, feeds were interrupted. A message played. No, logo. No warning. Just a man, battered, masked, surrounded by darkness. His voice was calm, level. My name is Jace Thorne. I was once commander of Unit Echo Black. We were betrayed by our own leaders, buried, erased. He placed the black box in view. Footage began playing behind him. Innocent civilians gunned down during clean slate, his team refusing the order their death warrants signed, and the voices of the commanders laughing. You turned us into monsters. Then you called us traitors when we refused. You built a galaxy where truth is a threat, and mercy is weakness. His voice grew quieter, deadlier. You called us prey. But this is your only warning. He leaned forward. Humans are not prey. We adapt, we endure, and when we fight back, you remember our name. The screen cut to black. No signature, no location, just silence. But the galaxy had heard. Reactions across the galaxy. Whispers of a ghost. Was that real? Jace Thorne? He's still alive? He destroyed an entire base alone. What did they hide from us? What if there are more like him? Fear rippled through governments. Truth bled into the streets. Rebellions grew louder. Old secrets were dug up. Some called him a terrorist. Others called him a savior. But all agreed on one thing. He was out there. Final scene. Unknown outer system. Quiet Planeta ship landed silently in a jungle clearing. Small, fast, unregistered. The ramp lowered. A girl stepped out. Young, scared, but determined. Behind her 5 others, former soldiers, outcasts, survivors. They stood in front of a man sitting on a crate sharpening a blade. He looked up, calm, his voice low. "You're not here by accident." The girl nodded. "You're him, right? The Reaper?" He paused, then removed his helmet. The scars told the story. "Not anymore," he said. "Now I train others." She looked confused. "For what?" He stood, turned toward the stars. His voice was calm, heavy with purpose. "For the day they come again."